The modern movie landscape lately has looked like a desolate wasteland, completely devoid of any intelligent life or entertainment or creativity. That is until now, as Black Adam blasts his way onto movie screens like a thunderbolt. So this is my review of Black Adam. I went out and saw an advanced screening, and we're going to go ahead and talk about it. This is going to be mostly spoiler-free, but I am going to be talking about some plot details, so if you want to know nothing about the movie going into it, go ahead and stop the video now, go see the movie, come back and check it out. We'll share our thoughts. It'll be here waiting for you. But that was your warning, so on with the review. So Black Adam is a DC comic superhero. For those of you who don't know, he's kind of like a anti-hero slash quasi-villain slash full-on villain, depending on which comic book you're reading. And he comes to us from the Shazam corner of the universe. So he's kind of like an evil opposite of Shazam. And they even talk about him in the original Shazam movie as the champion that went wrong. He's the same thing. Wizard selects a mortal and gives them the power of the gods and sets them forth to be the champion. Black Adam kind of went wrong. He was full of darkness and vengeance, and so he did not use his powers the way the wizards intended, and this is his story. So the story kicks off in a country called Kahndaq about 5,000 years ago, where Black Adam is a normal person, and he's in a nation that's completely enslaved by a mad king who has his population digging for this rare element that only exists under the country of Kahndaq so that he can use the element to create this artifact called the Crown of Sabak. And the artifact is meant to unleash the power of these 7 demons. Basically, it creates like an evil Shazam, except instead of being empowered by 7 gods, it's 7 demons. That's what this guy's trying to do, and that's going to be kind of the MacGuffin throughout the film. So during these people's plights and peril, horrible tragedy is about to happen, and the gods select a mortal, empower him to become their champion. And he comes back, but rather than being a protector, he just lays down fiery death and vengeance all over this mad king and his regime, and pretty much annihilates the palace and a good chunk of the city. And that's the last we see or hear of Black Adam, apparently, for about 5,000 years, where we fast forward to, and Kahndaq is like a modern Middle Eastern city, but it's currently occupied by a mercenary force known as Intergang, which is a little criminal organization within the DC universe, and kind of a cool name drop. Wasn't expecting to see them. But Intergang is controlling the city of Kahndaq now, and they're continuing to mine for that rare element, which has caused a few citizens to attempt to do an uprising, try to take back their country, and that's where we meet some of the supporting characters, a woman and her son, whose husband and father had been killed by Intergang, and they're trying to find the Crown of Sabak to turn the tide or use its power to stop Intergang or liberate their country from Intergang. I'm not sure her motivations as far as wanting the crown aren't quite clear. But she does find the final resting place of the crown, and then she's ambushed by Intergang. In the ensuing conflict, she ends up releasing Black Adam, who comes out and just lays waste to the Intergang forces that are in the tomb, and agrees to come back to modern-day Kahndaq with her. And he sees very quickly he's a fish out of water. His world has changed. Nothing is as he recognizes it. But he does recognize that the people of Kahndaq are still enslaved or still under the thumb of tyranny. So he decides to wage this kind of one-man campaign, this one-man guerrilla war against Intergang, and just starts brutally attempting to liberate his country. And this gets the attention of Amanda Waller, who puts a call into Hawkman and advises him to assemble the Justice Society, go to Kahndaq, apprehend Black Adam, bring him back so he can be incarcerated by Task Force X. So he does. He assembles his Justice Society, Dr. Fate, the Atom, Cyclone. They fly off to Kahndaq with the mission of, we're going to bring Black Adam in, apprehend him, he's going to be incarcerated, bring stability to the globe. That's their mandate. So this forces obviously a confrontation with Black Adam. There's a lot of cool fight scenes, a lot of cool set pieces in this whole Justice Society Black Adam scene. But Dr. Fate, while he's surveying the battlefield, he detects that there's a greater threat somewhere out there, as the Crown of Sabak is moving its way through the population from person to person, trying to get to ultimately to the person who will use it and unleash the power of the 7 demons to become Sabak, become the big bad. And so at that point, it comes down to whether or not the Justice Society and Black Adam were able to set aside their differences, work together to fight against a greater evil. And will Black Adam be able to rise to that and become this hero and become this protector that his people need him to be, or is he just going to remain this force of vengeance to darkness, which will ultimately condemn the world to its doom? And that's it. That's pretty much the plot of Black Adam. It's there's not a lot to it. It's a pretty basic superhero origin movie. It's well done. The pacing is great. A lot of good special effects, a lot of cool fight sequences, especially when the Justice Society first encounters Black Adam and they have this big battle in the streets of Kahndaq. That's really cool. Final battle with Sabak, it's fine, it's cool. I think the highlight was probably in the middle of the movie when you've got the Justice Society trying to apprehend and defeat Black Adam, and then ultimately trying to figure out if they need to work together or not. It was well done. It was fun. This was just a fun kind of movie, which I enjoy. And I think we really, it's been a while since we had one of these, so I really enjoyed going to the theater and just getting to kind of sit back and enjoy myself for 2 hours. So a lot of cool dynamics are in play here, but one of the main ones is Hawkman, who kind of represents your standard superhero mentality of heroes versus villains. Heroes do not kill. We have this code of ethics, and Black Adam, who he doesn't subscribe to any of that. He doesn't even call himself a hero. He says it many times throughout the movie. I am no hero. And Black Adam wants to do things his way. Hawkman wants Black Adam to play by the rules. So you have this kind of good cop, bad cop as they butt heads, and it makes for some really good character moments. Black Adam himself, though, he is unwavering in what he is, which I really appreciate in the movie. They don't try to make him the hero. He stays at best an anti-hero, at worst a force for darkness, especially as you uncover more about his origin throughout the movie and find out how dark his past really is. And it was really interesting to see that. You get a bit of a redemption arc in there, but at the same time, it's like I said, he's not a hero. He never claims to be, and he never tries to be, which is interesting. Sabak, on the other hand, he was fine as a villain. I mean, the Crown kind of acts as the MacGuffin that chases the movie around and kind of moves the plot a bit. And then Sabak himself, he's kind of one of those, shows up in the third act, and you have a big fight. And that's fine. I mean, the story wasn't Sabak. The story is Black Adam and his origin and him readjusting into the world. And you needed to have kind of a more of a villainous force, something to drive the plot forward, something to, be your call to action moment. That's kind of what he is. So he's more of a plot device than a character. There's not a lot to him, but at the same time, he was effective. I appreciated him for what he was, I guess. But I don't know. Take him or leave him as a villain. He's not, when you leave the theater, he's not going to be the thing that you remember, I guess. The Justice Society, on the other hand, I thought was done really well. I mean, it would have been very easy to make this a discount Justice League, but I think with their character selection here, they really did a good job of making them just not stand-ins for the Justice League. These characters are more unique than that. And then you have this good dynamic of, you have Hawkman, who's this, experienced leader, this seasoned member of the league. You've got Dr. Fate, who's even older than that, who's been around for so long, and he and Hawkman have been doing this for a long time. Then you've got the rookie of Atom Smasher. This is like his first major superhero engagement, so he's kind of clumsy and blundering a bit at first. And then Cyclone, she's kind of in the middle. She's done this for a little while, but she's still fairly new. So she kind of bridges the gap between the rookie of Atom Smasher and the established vets of Dr. Fate and Hawkman. They all have very different personalities, and I think each one of them gets at least one moment in the movie to shine, which I appreciated, because the Justice Society's part in this movie is about equal to that of Black Adam, but at the same time, the writers do a good job of never having the JSA take the agency away from Black Adam or take the focus away from him. They're there still as second fiddle to him, even though their parts in the movie are still fairly large. They never take away from what Black Adam needs to be in the movie, which I appreciated. I thought that was a very good, it was a very hard tightrope, I think, to walk, and I think they did it very successfully. So ultimately, Black Adam it's just a fun movie. It reminded me a lot of the original Venom movie, because you have this, they're both darker characters, they're both, they're kind of heroes, kind of not. They walk this shade of gray, which is nice. I felt like the Black Adam movie was a bit better written. I think Black Adam's got a bit more depth as a character. He's got this redemption arc to him. He's got this dark past he's trying to reconcile, as well as there's this legend of what he was that's floating through the city as this great protector, and there's statues to him and everything else in the city, but he at the same time knows what his true background is. And that's something that I think he's having trouble coming to terms with, of the man that he knows he is versus the man who people see him as and champion him as. There's great dialogue as far as just the ethics of superheroes, because you got, on one hand, Hawkman, heroes don't kill, this isn't what we do. On the other hand, Black Adam and the citizens of Kahndaq are like, well, I mean, you call yourself superheroes. This country's been under occupation by a criminal element for over 2 decades, and we haven't seen a single superhero show up in our city until Black Adam shows up and actually starts doing good. So you have this really cool dynamic, and it's a really good question that the movie asks, as far as what it takes to be a hero. And I thought that, as far as a comic book movie goes, that's one of the things that you always kind of have to reconcile is real world versus comics. If you had a world of Superman, how would you ever have like a war in the Middle East when Superman can literally disable an entire army in the blink of an eye? This kind of addresses that a little bit. I don't know if it gives you a satisfactory answer, but at least it kind of poses the question and explores it a bit, which I appreciated. There's some good little clever nods to the rest of the DCU as a whole. So they have some elements in there to let you know that yes, Justice League and Suicide Squad and all these movies are canon. They did happen. They are established, and there's little bits of connected tissue enough to make this movie feel like it's part of a greater world. But at the same time, unlike Marvel, they don't bring in cameos and elements from other movies in a way that make you look past this movie to the next thing. It keeps you in the Black Adam moment, but it just gives you these little nods to let you know, yeah, there's this other world out here. It's still here and we'll still explore it. But right now we're in Kandak and right now we're dealing with Black Adam. I think they balance that very well. If this is really, DC seems to be finding their footing as far as what they want to do for their cinematic universe, and I'm kind of digging it. I'm really enjoying what they're starting to create. And it really can marvel, I think, what Marvel's built, especially since Marvel's kind of they've lost a step or two. There's the stuff they're churning out is not nearly the quality it used to be. So it would be really good to see DC step things up and really get a coherent, tight, and impressive cinematic universe off the ground to kind of force Marvel to maybe step their game back up a little bit, because I think they've just been unchallenged for too long. The movie's not perfect. It's got a couple problems. He's got kind of a kid sidekick that he hangs around him throughout a lot of the movie, and at first he kind of it's kind of like a short round Indiana Jones type relationship. It kind of reminded me of, but as the movie gets on, I don't know, he gets kind of more annoying in my opinion. And there's a few scenes where him and his mother and her family kind of bring the plot to a halt a little bit, and it needs to be jump started back into the action. So there's some clunky parts with a few of the supporting characters, but it's nothing major. It's nothing that drags the film down too much. It's just you just find yourself saying, yeah, I could do without this. I could do without this kid. That's pretty much it. That'd be my major criticism of the film. So not perfect, but still a lot of fun, very enjoyable, and definitely a good entry into this fledgling DC universe that seems to be had been struggling to get off the ground and is maybe starting to get a little bit of traction and maybe starting to put something out that's impressive. Definitely want to see more like it. I really do. And hopefully you guys, if you've seen it, I'd like to know what you think. Did you enjoy it? If you were a fan of Black Adam, did you think this was a faithful adaptation? I really felt that they did a great job of bringing Black Adam from the comic to the screen and not compromising his character. But what did you guys think? If you didn't know Black Adam before, would this make you a fan? Would you want to go, to the comic shop and read more and figure out who this character is and learn more about him and his exploits? Let's talk about it in the comments below. While you're down there, do all the usual stuff. Hit like, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I'd love to have you. And share this video with your friends. It helps the YouTube algorithm pick up on the channel and helps us grow and helps build this community that we've slowly become. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing what you see in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.